Religion is unnatural. It is unnatural. Why? Because things that are natural are designed to change. Things that are natural change, they evolve, they look different over time. You do not see that in religion. Religion is stagnant. And unfortunately, this huge religious system has had its big fat hand in shaping the identity of humanity. And if you have spent any significant of time in a church attached to a religion, it has shaped your identity as well. We're hopping into this topic today, so buckle your seatbelts. Okay, let's go. I am Tamara Tamu. If you are new here, you have stepped into the Unleashed Alchemy YouTube channel, where on this channel, we talk about rediscovering your sovereignty. So let's dive in. Religion is unnatural. I know that is probably very destructive to some people's identity. But if you are watching this, if you've made it this far already to this video, I know that I'm talking to you because you have left your religion. Okay. You've left your religion, but you're still feeling stuck. You're still feeling like, I know that there is more. You're not seeing a lot of changes in your life. And I'm telling you that if you have not addressed the programming of religion that has operated in your nervous system, that is why. It's not enough to just walk away physically. You have to address the programming that has had its hand in your identity and how you move in your life and how you move in the world. So listen, with religion, we see stories told the same way, a different way. It's the same story told over and over and over again. Okay. It's the same message from church service to church service, packaged differently. Okay. And the stories are packaged differently. They're packaged differently enough to keep people entertained, to keep coming back week after week, to keep coming back for more. Meanwhile, in their outside life, there is no change. And I'm saying that because that was my experience. And I know that I'm not the only one. And I see it still taking place today. People that have left the church, but they're still not seeing changes in their life. I see people who are still in church, going to church week after week, hearing the same thing. Still no changes, no upgrades, no elevation in their lives. Okay. What happens is when you are sitting in church, you want more, but yet you're waiting for this God up in the sky to give it to you. It's the evidence of religion being unnatural, being not an agent of change. You hear it in religious songs. If you grew up in a certain Christian background, it may have been called Kojic, Church of God in Christ, or Pentecostal Assemblies of the World. A lot of those songs also played into that we're not seeing change identity. Okay. There was a song that I'm thinking of right now that was called the verse. I don't remember what it was called, but part of the lyrics were Jesus the same yesterday, today, forevermore. How boring is that? How boring is that? The same yesterday, today, forevermore? No, I want to see as a human being, we are designed to see change. We are designed to see elevation. We are designed to experience, feel, and see upgrades in our lives. Okay? So what happens is you sit in the church, you want more, you still don't have it. So you keep going back to the services in hopes that you'll hear another message, which again is the same message. But what you're really hoping for is this high that you want to feel. There's this high that's giving you this hope that, oh, maybe this week, if I go to church today, then the following week is going to be much better. So It's kind of like, well, not kind of, it is a drug addict who's seeking their next high. They get the high, they come down from it, they still feel like shit. They still feel horrible. There's still no changes in their life. So they go back for another hit thinking that they're going to experience something different. We can equate that to a gambling addict. They're sitting at the slot machines saying, okay, well, this time when I pull the lever, it's going to be different. They pull the lever, nothing happens, no change. They go back for more. They go back for another hit thinking, oh, yes, I know this time is going to be different. So they pull the lever. Same thing with people going back to church, hearing the same messages packaged differently over and over and over again, but still no change. That is unnatural to your soul. And again, I'm going to say this again. When you have sat in church for an extended period of time, it is not enough to just leave and walk away. You have to deal with the emotional and the identity component of how programming has infiltrated your nervous system. Okay? So, there's no upgrade, there's no change. Your thinking stays the same. There is no evolution. So you can have walked away from the church. You can be in a space where you're saying, I know religion doesn't work for me. I'm done with that. I don't identify with any religion. Now I'm free. But are you really free if there's no change, if there's no elevation in your life? If you're seeing the same with your relationships, with your money, with your job, with your career, with how you exist, with your identity, then I'm going to tell you 9 times out of 10, that unnaturalness of religion is still operating in your life. Let's keep going. So this turns into a way of being. Like I just said, it's a way of existing where there is no evolution. And so this not having any evolution or change in your life, it gets into your identity, and now it becomes a part of your operating system. So what do you do to change this? And I know that can be hard to hear, because we can talk about deconstructing religion all day. But this is the component that I don't hear people talking about. And it's the identity and emotional component. And I think a lot of people don't address it because you're not aware that that is even an issue. And you may be asking, well, how did I become aware that religious programming was still operating? Because nothing was changing in my life. I was still feeling stagnant. I was still feeling unhappy. I knew there was another level of freedom for me to operate in. There was another existence for me to operate in. And I had to really go within and ask the question, what is happening here? I thought I was leaving. I left the church because I knew that that was no longer for me. I knew that that was not helping me. I'm not attached to any type of religion. Why do I still feel this way? I thought leaving was going to give me freedom. I thought leaving all of that was going to somehow elevate me in some way, but no change is happening here. So I had to ask those questions, and then I had to be silent and still enough to allow the answers to those questions to rise. And they did. And that is the piece that people don't want to address. Because see, what happens is people leave their religion. They detach from any religious identity. And then they want to skip that emotional identity piece, and then they want to jump into spiritual practices. That doesn't work, because all you're doing is taking that programmed identity and you're putting it right into your spiritual practice. So there's no upgrade. There's no true freedom in that. You have to deal with that emotional piece. That is what I talk about on this channel. That is what we're diving into in this episode. Okay, so let me get back to this. What do you do to change this? What do you do to get out of that programmed rut so that you can be more, have more, live more, dream more, get more? You get to the root of what is natural to your soul. So what is natural to your soul? We already talked about it. Expansion, change, and evolution. So how can expansion, change, and evolution show up in your life? It can look like your conversations changing. And here's a side note when it comes to your conversations. You're going to find when you have dealt with your identity, okay, when you start to rediscover who you are as a sovereign being, when that religious programming has started to fall away and you are severing ties with that, topics that used to interest you, that used to light you up, that used to be exciting for you, that may not be the case anymore. It's not that anything is wrong with the topic. It's not that anything is wrong with the people that you were having that conversation with, but you are experiencing an elevation beyond that topic or those topics. You got to pay attention to that when that happens. That is your soul telling you, okay, you've elevated beyond that topic. Period. It doesn't mean, again, that there's something wrong with the topic or something wrong with the people that you were having that conversation with. It just means your soul has elevated beyond that. All right. Another way that change, evolution, and expansion shows up in your life is that your perspectives change. Your perspectives grow. What does this look like? So, before, when you operate from an identity where there's no evolution, your views on life, it's either this or that. It's very linear. This or that. But when you start to surrender to evolution, your views now become and. Your views become all. There is no or. Why? Because your view is no longer linear. Your view is quantum. Do you get that? Your view and your perspective becomes quantum because now you start to see life through the eyes of your soul, through the eyes of evolution, through the eyes of expansion, through the lens of expansion. So now even possibilities for you are quantum. They become infinite. What you thought that you were going to accomplish by linear steps, 1, 2, 3. Now you see the possibility of going from 1 to 1,000. That is quantum. That is collapsing time. All right. So now, how does expansion and evolution show up in your life? So we've covered your conversations will change, your perspectives will change, your vision changes. Your vision. What do I mean by that? You accept that you can have what you desire in the way that you see it now through the lens of quantum, and that's it. You accept it as you see it. There's no explanation. You accept that you can change your mind. You accept that you can actually change your mind. You accept that you can change relationships. You accept that you can change careers. You accept that you can change where you live. You can change homes, that you can change countries. You accept that the way that you see your life playing out, that's what it is. There's no need to water it down. You're not worried about how is this going to happen, because again, because you have chosen to see life through the lens of your expansive soul, you're not worried about the how. Because now you see that you can create. Everything is infinite and quantum. And when you get a vision for what you want, you accept it as is. There's no, oh, but what if this happens? Or how am I going to do? No, you see the vision? Okay, it's on. Let's do it. And that's it. So I am about, if you've made it to 16 minutes, congratulations, because I am about sacred disruption and sacred transformation. And for me to say that religion is unnatural, that is very disruptive. You who've shown up and said, if you've watched this, then you have already walked away from your religion. You doing that is disruptive, especially if you grew up in the religion, especially if you seem to be one of the very few out of your community, out of your family, out of your friends that has said, this no longer works for me. You too are disruptive, because you're realizing that your natural genius, the natural you, the real you, came here to expand. And you're ready to do that. And if you're ready to go further, if you're ready to really collapse that programming that has created a false world for you, that has shown you a false way of being, if you're ready to be hurled into deep change, deep evolution, I want you to get into my program that begins June 7th. It's deconstructing programming, rediscovering your sovereignty. That's what I titled it. And it's so much more than just deconstructing religion. This is about you rediscovering your identity and not allowing programming to continue to wreak havoc on your life in the way that you exist. The link to register for a spot in that program will be in the description box of this video. You can also go to unleashedalchemy.com, where there are other services that I offer that help guide you through that process. But I want you to get into the program on June 7th. All right. Until next time, be sovereign. Walk in your evolution.